So I will be talking about, like Mukesh just mentioned, I'm part of Business Transformation Services. I do business transformation engagements for SAP's clients. And we will be talking about how digital experience can be not only designed, but also developed and deployed. So this is what I will be talking about. And we will talk about certain apps also that can be used. This is our agenda. This is my agenda for today. I will talk about SAP Digital Innovation Lab. When we do the Digital Innovation Lab engagement with our clients, we typically have 4 phases. We will talk about those 4 phases. In the interim, we will talk about a couple of apps that we have, that we typically use to help prototype your digital solutions. And finally, we will conclude by seeing how this can typically be done in a client environment. How long does it take? How short? How long? What is the duration? So let's just start. I'll just show you a quick video of how a digital innovation was done at E.ON, an organization in Europe that focuses a lot on alternate energy. So let's just have a look at one video.
The energy supplier of the future, E.ON, smart energy networks, renewable energies, and e-mobility are the core ideas of future business. As one of the leading energy providers in Europe, with over 40,000 employees and more than 22 million customers, E.ON focuses on solutions for an increasingly decentralized, ecological, and digital energy world.
In the future, E.ON will completely reorient itself. We have 3 business areas. First of all, we offer new energy solutions that show our customers how to use energy more efficiently and also how to save energy in the future. Secondly, we offer renewable energy sources. We want to offer our business partners opportunities to invest in offshore wind parks or solar parks. And thirdly, we offer smart energy networks.
To support new business models within a connected energy world, E.ON's existing IT landscape needs to be extended with new technological possibilities. In 2016, the E.ON Prototyping Factory was developed in cooperation with SAP Max Attention to drive this digital transformation forward with innovations.
We here at E.ON have noticed that if we want to drive innovation, we have to adopt new approaches. We want to be able to quickly make the requirements of our customers tangible and really visualize them in order to achieve entirely different discussions with the customers and to find out other solutions than before.
The prototypes
consist of 2 components. First of all, the model, the physically tangible model that helps us to tell a story that brings the whole subject matter into the proper context. And secondly, a software component, which helps us to show usable user interfaces quickly, leading us into discussion on specific customer journeys to find the best solution for the respective customer.
The agility of the prototyping factory assists E.ON in changing the company's mode of operation in a sustainable manner.
Together with SAP Digital Business Services, we are developing platforms that enable us to access data that is already present in our SAP systems and display this in a modern web interface to ultimately make it available to other customers and partners.
SAP Leonardo Innovation Services helps E.ON to transform the challenges of today into innovative solutions for tomorrow.
We are pleased to join forces with SAP Digital Business Services, together on the road to a sustainable future.
So that was the E.ON case study, wherein the entire end-to-end digital experience was enabled through prototyping exercise, and we took it really the whole hog. I'll come back to this case study and explain a little more about what exactly was done. And before we go ahead, most organizations have a choice between whether to keep the lights on and keep improving the lights versus innovation. So on the left side, I've got mode 1 on your left. This is mode 1, wherein organizations try to keep improving. Number one, they keep the lights on, which means maintain their own systems. Number two, they improve their existing processes. And it could be an improvement in core processes such as procure to pay or order to cash as well, right? So organizations spend a lot of their efforts in this mode 1. Then there is mode 2. Mode 2 is innovate. And this is where organizations try to address the challenges of digital transformation, try to get into digital innovations, solve new problems and create new business models, new business processes using new business products. Now, when we look at mode 1 versus mode 2, typically in organizations, what happens is mode 2 typically ends up being not very integrated with mode 1. So when organizations do innovations, typically these are not integrated, typically, not always, but typically not integrated with the core mode 1 solutions. What happens with that is, for example, an organization that has an IoT solution that is not integrated with the digital core, this leads to probably higher flexibility, lower time to value, and lower risk of innovation. However, the flip side is you end up doing a lot of duplications. So, and the fact that there is a lack of integration results in lack of optimized business processes itself, lack of knowledge, lack of information at your fingertips. So what we do as part of SAP Digital Innovation Lab is we help foster business innovation through these 4 phases. We will talk about the details of each of these phases very shortly. The first being business alignment. Then this moves into the digital design zone. The third phase being empowering. This is where high fidelity apps or app prototypes can be made. And the fourth is final prototyping. And when we are doing this, we typically co-pilot this engagement with the client. So SAP co-pilots this typically using premium engagement services. The typical technology focus is innovation based. So solutions that use Internet of Things, machine learning, big data, collaboration, user experience integration, these tend to be the focus areas when we do Digital Innovation Lab. Now, I'm just moving to the 4 phases that we are talking of. Going forward, we will look at specific applications that can be used during these 4 phases. The first phase is business alignment. So when we are talking innovation, it is obviously very critical that there is business alignment. Otherwise, the problem that the typical problem of business challenges not being addressed through the IT solutions that are deployed. This typical problem comes up. And when we talk innovations, innovative solutions or innovations in any solutions that we do have a lot of flexibility to go in different directions. And this is where business aligned with IT is extremely critical. So when we do business alignment, this is where we focus the topics that we would be doing using in the engagement, try to arrive at what is the business problem that we are trying to resolve using the Digital Innovation Lab. And how do we typically do it? We do executive interviews, we do joint governance, joint engagement planning. The people who are typically involved in this phase are the stakeholders from business and IT, because interviews are typically done by both business as well as IT stakeholders. And at the bottom you can see SAP BTS lead, that means SAP Business Transformation Lead. That would be somebody like me who would come in to kind of orchestrate the whole process. The second phase is digital design zone. This is where we do design thinking workshops. I will be talking about design thinking in my next discussion wherein I'll be coming in after, after we talk about Leonardo in the next session. And so this is the point wherein we do a design thinking workshop, wherein multiple stakeholders from the organization come into one room, come together, form different teams, and actually try to get multiple innovative ideas in place, of course relevant to your business itself. As you could see in the Eon video that was shown some time back, there were initially, when design thinking workshops were done, more than 100 innovative ideas came up, out of which specific ideas were actually adopted. So the key here is we try to have as many innovative ideas in place before we converge on specific thoughts, specific innovations that are going to be taken forward for prototyping and implementation. So what we will do is, we will look at a simple app. This app that I'm going to show a very short video on is called the Marvel app. This is used for lo-fi prototyping, so low fidelity prototyping. It's an app that literally is child's play. So I have this app on my phone. I keep doing low fidelity prototyping as and when required. It's as simple as taking a piece of paper, drawing some sketches on the piece of paper, clicking photographs of those sketches, and converting that into a mobile application prototype. It just takes a few minutes to make a prototype for any mobile application using this app. So let's just have a quick look. It's as simple as this. You can click snaps of sketches. You can select areas of those sketches. Clicking on specific areas brings up another screen, and so on. Or you can use specific images from your image library. We tend to use this application a lot during our design thinking workshops, wherein towards the latter part of the design thinking workshops, we would like to create a prototype, a low fidelity prototype. And once we form teams that helps agree or arrive at certain innovative ideas, those teams during the design thinking workshops itself make these low fidelity prototypes, which can then be demonstrated to different other team members. So the third phase is the empowering phase. Now in the previous phase, we did the design thinking workshop and we created lo-fi prototypes, right? Now at some point in time, we need to make it into a high fidelity prototype, right? Before we actually go into the actual implementation. So this is where we use another application called Build. And this application is used for not only, and can be used for low fidelity prototypes, for high fidelity prototypes, and it can also be used to create Fiori-like applications, for which then there is the same solution has the capability to help you export code, which can later be used for UI5 development. So you can build an application, export the code. So it's a WYSIWYG application. What you see is what you get. And once the application is made, you can export the code to create the application, make fine-tuning changes within the application that you have. So what is done in this phase is we help the client by training them to use the Build app. We empower them to do prototyping on their own. And the client core team is typically involved in this phase, because this is where the app is actually being built. Let's just have a quick look at the build application and what it does.
User experience. You've probably heard the term. A lot. Everyone is talking about it. Business leaders, managers, coworkers, even grandma. Okay, maybe not grandma. But what is user experience, and why is it so important? People want well-designed software that's easy to use. Yes, even those who use enterprise software. But it's difficult understanding the needs of your users, and you may not have the right tools or expertise to verify what they want. This can lead to Frankenstein that results in unhappy users who demand revisions. And making changes during development is crazy expensive. We can do better than that. Introducing Build, a comprehensive set of tools that helps you learn, prototype, gather feedback, and get inspired. It's one tidy solution that lets you create better business applications. Learning cards teach you design methods like identifying and interviewing users to find their needs, or sketching out ideas. Wait, not those. Yes, these. Create clickable mockups of your application from your sketches. Turn them into refined prototypes by dragging and dropping user interface elements, importing data, creating dynamic charts, and more. Gather feedback on your prototype, whether it's already perfect or needs a few adjustments to get it just right. And if you're feeling lazy, I mean, if you want to take your project to the next level, browse our gallery of pre-built SAP Fiori applications. Feel free to duplicate and customize them to your heart's content. And here's the best part. Instead of giving developers a large business requirements document, you hand them a working prototype with exportable code, knowing your team is on the same page. So this is why user experience is important. You identify and understand who you're building for, brainstorm ideas, make prototypes, gather feedback, revise accordingly, and repeat until the end of space and time. Or until your users are happy, whichever comes first. Launch your app with Build today.
Like I said, when we are trying to make or design, deploy an innovative solution, multiple users would have multiple requirements, right? Unlike a typical procure to pay, order to cash, wherein you have clear-cut best practices and you try and go as much as per those best practices as possible. Here, when we are trying to innovate, there you would have different requirements coming up. So what do? You build, you use this app, you create prototypes. First, you try and create prototypes collaboratively, which means you build apps, rather you upload sketch tool itself using drag drop controls, Fiori floor plans and so on, and then collaborate, and then you can import the code from build into the SAP Web IDE. Then you can customize the prototype gallery, get feedback from end users, and primarily learn user-centered design. The final stage for the digital innovation lab is prototyping. We do agile innovation prototyping and demonstrating those the prototyping that has been done to different users. In the case of Eon that we were talking of, the first video that I showed, that's where initially certain design thinking workshops were done. Low fidelity prototypes were created using the Marvel app, the first app, followed by the Build app, which was used for creating high fidelity prototypes. And finally, these prototypes were actually demonstrated to users in the office canteens, to demonstrations to top management, and so on. This is typically also done to client C-level executives, because that's when you get specific inputs on where the apps can be improved as well. This is a very high-level sample plan that could be followed for a particular client organization. I talked about 4 phases. If it were a typical 2-month project, we would have the first business alignment phase for the first week or two, followed by the workshops, the design thinking workshops, which would have certain, preparatory phases, followed by one or more workshops, depending on what kind of business problems we want to solve for the organization. Followed by the third phase, wherein we go to empowerment. This is wherein the actual training on the build tool happens, and finally showcasing the prototyping to different people in the organization. Coming back to the Eon example, this was actually a very, very interesting case wherein innovation was done using IoT as the core platform. And this is where we used SAP's premium engagement services. This was done way back in 2016. So what was really done? Eon is an organization that is into alternate energy solutions. So they invested into these charging stations. The electric cars could come on those charging stations. You had earlier during the video seen certain electric equipment at certain places which was used for prototyping. The specific equipment that was used was a microcomputer called Raspberry Pi. And these would connect to a Raspberry Pi, which would then connect into the backend solution through Java persistence. And the front-end apps were through UI5, which would help get certain information on a real-time basis. So Eon had multiple car charging stations at different parts of the country. And somebody could come and ask, is outlet XYZ currently free? Through text recognition, the system would automatically understand the question. This would go into the backend system, get information, and the system would inform the user that outlet XYZ is currently not free. So this was all digitally enabled and deployed, designed using our digital innovation lab and through SAP's design thinking methodology. So thank you very much.